Hey, it's Giuseppe with Zenith. Just got off the phone with a client who's debating, as often happens, like, should I buy now? I have 3% down. I'm a first-time home buyer. Should I buy now or should I wait and save up more money? And I find that oftentimes the amount of savings that people think they're going to receive by putting down more money, going from like a 3% down payment to 5 or even 10% down payment is is a little bit skewed, and the numbers don't play out that way. So I wanted to build these numbers here that I shared with the client and kind of share them with you in case you know someone in this situation. Okay, so this client currently in November of 23, is looking to buy a home for $600,000. Current interest rates were about 7.75, and that would give her a $4,800 payment. She would need about a $26,000 funds due the day of closing. Now, when I built these, I wanted to be super, super conservative. So if you're buying a home in November of 23, you're probably going to negotiate a $10,000 to $20,000 seller credit on top of maybe being able to negotiate on the price a little bit. Okay, so with that money, you can do a 2-1 buy down, which I'm not showing you here. Have a 5.75 payment, for the first year, 6.75 the second year, and so on. You can use that money for a permanent buy down, or even if it's a smaller seller credit, let's say $10,000, that would reduce the amount she needs the day of closing to about $16,000 total out of pocket to buy a house. But again, I'm not trying to make one of these. I wanted to keep this really apples to apples, super conservative. Okay, so buy now, 3% down, pay your own closing costs. You need about $26,000 and you end up with a $4,800 payment. So the common thinking, and what this client said is, I think I'm going to be able to save about $50,000 over the next couple of years. I think I want to wait and see what that looked like. So I modeled that for her and said, okay, if rates remain the same, we're going to assume a 4.5% appreciation rate. You're going to have to pay $655 for the house, not $600. Okay, so if you put down 10% now instead of 3% down payment, believe it or not, you're going to end up with the same $4,800 payment. Okay, so that, I feel like I could stop the video right here, because already this is proving that if you can't really outsave appreciation. That's an important point to think about. For most people, you cannot outsave the appreciation in homes. And so by putting down 10%, okay, now she ends up with the same payment, but look at this, right? She saved an extra $50,000 almost and had to put all that money down, and there was no net benefit, right? So I feel like, again, I could stop the video here, because it's like, why wouldn't you just buy the house now? Buy the house now, and now instead of paying $55,000 extra for the house and ending up with the same payment and having to deplete your savings, you could have the $55,000 on your side of the balance sheet in equity that you've earned. Your net worth has now increased by $55,000. If you were to sell the house, you'd have an extra $55,000, right? But let's kind of play this out, because what we've been telling clients, what we think will happen is that rates are going to move lower. So let's say in 2 years, rates are down 2% from where they are now. Okay. Again, I want to keep this super conservative, because if rates go down 2%, you're probably not paying $655 for the same house. You're going to have to pay $700, $725, something along those lines, because there's going to be so much more competition, just like we experienced in the past, where you have to start bidding up the price of homes. But let's assume that's not the case. Let's assume it's the same buyer pool, and now you're just paying $655, and you have a 5.75 rate, 2% lower than what it would be today. And you do, of course, have a lower payment. So you're saving $800 a month. That's huge and that's impressive. But don't forget that you had to spend $50,000 more the day of closing. So what's better, an $800 lower payment or $50,000 more in the bank? That's a question that we pose clients all the time. Okay, a better strategy, the best strategy, in my opinion, is buy now, pay $600,000 for the house, have the $55,000 in equity be in your net worth and then refinance in 2 years. If you buy now and refinance in 2 years, now you get that lower rate. Now you get that $800 payment savings, but keeping in mind, you've only come out of pocket $15,000 to $25,000 to buy the house instead of having to save $73,000 and put everything down to buy a few years from now to end up with the same payment. If you'd like me to run some numbers like this for you and based on your scenario or one of your clients, please feel free to reach out at